Hello, I'm John Furrier with theCUBE here at theCUBE's NYSE studios. Of course, we have our Palo Alto studio connecting Silicon Valley and Wall Street. This is our mixture of expert series. We've got two great, amazing women here on the last day of Women History Month. But Kirthiga, she's the CEO of OptimizeGEO.ai and also the first female investment partner at SoftBank's $100 billion vision fund, Facebook's India first employee, and trek to base camp and Everest. You've done a lot. Thanks for coming on. Good to see you.
Excited to be here. Always great to be back.
And Aku is back. She's a CUBE alumni. She's the founder of WomenOfGenAI, the hottest trend on the planet. Thanks for coming back. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So first of all, Kirthiga, I'm interested in the whole Everest thing now. Let's just throw that out there. Your DNA is you're a pioneer. You like to explore. First female partner at SoftBank's Vision Fund, Facebook in India, which is massive operation there now. It's Women History Month. It's the last day. What's your thoughts on this current market right now? Because one, the AI has opened up the aperture of skills. You don't need to be a computer science engineer from the top schools. You can just have intellect and code away. That's changing the game on women in tech. That's changing the game on who's a developer. Business outcomes are now actually attainable. What's your vision? What's your thoughts?
John, it's a very meaningful question because it's meaningful in two different ways. One, absolutely, you don't have to be an engineer. I know of doctors who are now entrepreneurs and are building their own businesses. I know of a founder back in India, Arpana Gabbett. She's building the next Aura ring for the world. And she doesn't have an engineering background, all right? So you see that, but also, if you look at the number of women founders, the percentage of women founders, the percentage of funding going to women, that still needs a long way to go. And to what Aku's building with Gen AI, we still have, even in the biggest companies like the Google, you only have like 10-15% of women engineers. So that needs to change, and I'm excited to be leading from the front.
Yeah, we just did a series in December with the women of the GSA, which is the Semiconductor Association. There's still some hardcore engineering going on too, so there's a lot of participation. Again, the numbers are a little lower. Aku, you're in the heart of it. I just wrote a post on LinkedIn. There's a New York Times article about how AI is changing as I wrote a post around how my 25 years in Silicon Valley and now here in New York connecting them to. There's almost a parallel build out going on. New York's become very tech-centric.
Yeah.
Okay, but this still's got the distribution, the money, and the trades. Silicon Valley's got the innovation, but they're both innovating in parallel at the same time, and it's connected. But AI is also changing. The models are different.
Yeah.
There's so much innovation and new thinking.
Totally.
What are you seeing? What's the update on your end since we last talked? San Francisco's booming. New York's booming. I mean, all the major meccas of talent.
Yep.
Is leaning in.
I love what's going on. I've been part of this wave and also the last wave with IBM Watson, was part of their founding team. We grew it to like a $13 billion in revenue, which contributed more than 50% of IBM's revenue at that time. And then again with Workday, where I was part of the founding developer and AI team. And from 2022 to 2023, we went from like a revenue of like 3 billion plus to 7 billion plus. And that was like our 4 billion plus to 7 billion plus astronomical growth just within that 1 year. And fast forward to today, where there's so many like interesting companies like the OpenAIs and the Anthropics of the world that are really changing innovation. And you have LLMs. Today, our life is so much easier because we have our own AI personal assistant in an LLM. Like, I literally am amazed at how good LLMs are at psychology. Like, I sometimes go out there because I have decision fatigue often. I just go and ask the LLM, what do I do in this scenario? How should I respond?
It's a double-edged sword. As it gets to know you, it makes you better.
I know.
But also it could be blind spots. It only can work on what it can see.
Totally.
I mean, this is a big dilemma. I mean, Kirthiga, your business does this. And again, I just wrote a post on this. Again, the upside is it's so much faster to get things done. It takes a raw idea, notes, turns it into something cogent. But also, I don't feed the AI a lot of things. My instincts, So the cognition, the cognitive behavior of humans and AI are kind of in this power dynamic. What are your thoughts? So you do this for a living. You help companies be seen
I do,
by
yes,
AI. So
yes. So,
you got to
and
feed the beast.
in very interesting ways. Having helped brands with the last shift to social and mobile as the first employee for
Yeah.
Facebook in India and their managing director India South Asia, where we saw the country go digital and mobile, and then my role here at Meta headquarters working with the largest global brands. I'm thrilled to be doing it again now with this new
Yeah.
consumer shift where people are going for everything from news to what enterprise software to
Yeah.
buy to the skincare that they choose. They go to LLMs. And if you're not visible there, you're essentially forgotten by the modern consumer. So our platform actually has a diagnostic tool where it helps you understand what is it that users are asking for your particular industry, driven by user personas, to an recommendations platform about what you need to do about it. And we find that even for the biggest brands, John, about 40% of the questions that they identify as being important, they're just not visible there. And so then it's about what is it that you do in content, what is it that you do in media,
Yeah.
and for sure they should be on the cube to make sure that they appear in those LLM answers.
It's interesting, Aku. I want to tie this together with you and riff on this a little bit, because if you look at the SEO game, search engine optimization, which was a Web 1 and then a Web 2 dynamic with mobile and cloud, it was really about the web page. A lot of net discovery was there. Of course, you can find what you're looking for with Google. You can click on a link, you go to a landing page, and people would optimize for the placement in the search engines. It became, I won't say underbelly, but it grew very fast. It became a very lucrative, because Google's revenue model was obviously a monopoly, billions and billions and billions of dollars. But that was based on a click. So that you had contextual behavior. How does AI change? Because it seems like the AEO, or the AI engine optimization, is less about search results than it is about intelligence and the system. So what's different about AI because I think it's a bigger category, even though SEO is pretty massive, but it was always ad tech. It wasn't like, society changed. It was help people do e-commerce and get found. You paid for that. But AI's got a whole different thing to it. It's an infrastructure. It's a system of intelligence. Your thoughts on what's different?
No, totally. Because AI is not just going to your website. Your website is a fraction of it. It is looking at the intelligence across the web about your product, brand, and service. And the whole purchase funnel and the purchase decision is compressing. You might go to LLMs to say, give me a 7-day nutrition plan, and you end up with figuring out what you're shopping for, right? And the stats say it all. Today, over 58% of Google searches do not result in a click. And that number just a few years ago was in the 20+%. So majority of searches today are not resulting in a click. And so it is even more essential for the right news article, the right brand, the right company to appear.
So you're saying it's hyper converging the functionality of the whole outcome, which is it does the work.
It does the work for you. And you don't even have to start with one question and LLM say, do I tell you more? Do you want more? You're not even asking the next question. And that whole purchase funnel is compressing. And we spoke about like Google being the monopoly in the old world. Today, by the way, you don't just have one LLM, right? Your results might be different on a chat. Not might be, they are different on a chat.
I had this debate with an entrepreneur. I had an agreement, basically. We both agreed, because we were both riffed to the same point, is that will OpenAI have ads? Now they have ads. And it wasn't really a debate. The comment was they have billions of users. They have the eyeballs. The eyeballs is an old term, but now they have the voices. The fingers can move from typing a search to just prompting it with voice or just a prompt.
Yeah.
This is changing, the application space, putting all the doom and gloom with SaaS apocalypse aside. The AI native software is different at CUBE. This is going to change how ventures are built, because now everything's collapsing into multifunctional things. What are you seeing with entrepreneurs out there? What are women doing in the Gen AI space from a startup standpoint? What are some of the trends that you're seeing that kind of speak to this systems game?
Yeah, that's a great question. And from my own personal journey of like incubating Credo AI back in the days, responsible AI startup, raised our first 5.5 million from John Sakota of Decibel and Anne Dwayne of Village Global. And it was interesting. Back in 2020, that was like the trend of responsible AI because all those laws in the EU, European Union,
Yeah.
that were shaping. And that was so timely at that time
Yeah.
because of that, because we had that whole Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
And auditability was important to make sure that the AI models are fair and not biased. And that was important at that time. And fast forward to last, 2 years ago when I incubated another startup, female founded, which was focused on AI sales agents, and we raised another 40 million there. So that was heavily the trend back then,
Yeah.
which was generative AI. And fast forward to today, which is Agentic AI,
Yeah.
where you have such cool female founded startups in the space that are evolving, including Kirthiga's.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing to see all the agentic AI and those trends. How could AI be your agent and help you do better?
That's a great point, Kirthiga, about the female-funded startups. One of the side effects, benefits of AI is its acceleration, speed. So there's really no barriers to the proof. So that kind of changes the game on who can do a startup, how they do startups. The old rules kind of don't apply. If you can create value, it's undeniable. Now there's competitive forces, so that's just intelligence beat the competition. So it's not the old guard of, hey, talk to my friend, we went to school together, he runs a VC for all the Ivy Leaguers, and then now you got women funded VCs too. So you have this democratization layer, not just in America, all over the world, because sovereignty is now a big deal, because you got sovereign cloud that moved to sovereign AI, which isn't about data anymore, about GDPR and all those things that people talked about during the cloud. It's how does a nation create a better society?
Yeah.
And all things factor in. Women-led companies, diversity, all those things that people care about actually is doable.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. John, I think we have to be intentional about it, because if we are not intentional, we are still going to have, just like we have the digital divide, we're going to have the AI divide. And I keep talking about today, at this moment, World Economic Forum says we are standing at 130 years to close the gender equity gap. And if we don't do everything we can now, we're going to see the same divide happen. So let's do everything we can right now to provide access, provide information. And so I'm personally thrilled about championing an initiative that we call AI Kirin. Kirin in India is Rays of Light. So it's with the government of India, where the goal is to enable 1 million women, youth, differently abled, senior citizen. The mantra is inclusive AI. And
there goes 1 million female entrepreneurs.
It's 1 million women across different categories, whether it's all the way from builders to people in academia to social good to actually a category that we feel very proud of, which we call the builders. These are people doing the data gathering, the labeling, and often the unsung heroes in the whole AI movement. So it's very holistic, and it's across these different segments.
Yeah, I've always found, so 17 years doing theCUBE, we've interviewed a lot of women leaders, and they're just leaders, just happen to be women, as I always say. But it's interesting because the population, if you look at the demographics, software is for everyone now. So you have AI, it's basically been built now where it's the personalization angle is the value. It's built for everyone. So the question is, the people who are writing the software or designing the software or prompting the software or curating the software, it's going to end up happening because there's demand. If only 18% of the builders are women, that's less, that's not 51%. Just say it's 50-50, just for a round, for illustration, that population is not building for the population that the users are.
Yeah.
So it's personal now. So it's clearly the demand, it will happen. The question is how.
Yeah. And John, it was one of the stats that I kept looking at when I was looking, I was at SoftBank Vision Fund as your first female investment partner. I was seeing stats that single-digit percentage of founders in the deep tech space are women. And that stat kept bothering me. And in addition to the passion for the mission of what I'm doing, it was one of those, if not me, when, if not now, who, and jumped back into building with OptimizeGEO.ai.
You know, you guys have both been around the industry. Aku, you've seen it in the big companies, because you've seen it through your life. the debates have ranged. I've had many conversations. Oh yeah, get them early in elementary school, or when girls want to be girls, boys want to be boys. But the computer science was a mechanism. You had the right code. That became also a thing. Gaming saw this too, and now it's kind of changing there too. But now outcomes are the definition, not so much you have to code. I mentioned that earlier. So I think that the coding assistants that are going, I'd say being commoditized, and in a good way, has shifted the value to intellect.
Totally, I totally agree. And I did computer science myself, was one of the few women in that class back in India, back in the days. And I was a math and science nerd growing up.
Yeah.
My uncle worked at Microsoft in the early days, and he would mentor me and inspire me. And my godfather as well, who was down here in the United States. And I always had this goal of what I wanted to do when I grew up. Remember having those conversations with my dad as a 5-year-old kid. And it's just amazing. But I also look at like other countries where, and I feel so bad about this. My Instagram is filled with these reels, and it just, my heart goes out to the people in Afghanistan, the women in Afghanistan and Iran and all those countries. Like Afghanistan, women can't even be in school anymore post a certain age. Like they can't go to high school, or it's really sad. They can't show their face, and my heart goes out to them.
Yeah.
Now the education is so important, and there are no female doctors there anymore, and women can't even be seen by a male doctor. So it's...
Yeah, well, the world's changing. We'll see how that goes, because I mean, again, this force is too powerful, because the value, again, there's a double-edged sword, how this rolls. I think the guardrails is a good strategy. But it's going to be an undeniable force, because the tools are easier to use. My theory is that even though it's going to be easier not to code, that's going to create more curiosity about how everything works. I think we're actually going to come back to a systems revolution, but it's not like you have to go to school for it.
Yeah.
I think that'll also change the participation, because there are a lot of female nerds that just don't go into the nerd classes. Right. So as you know, the numbers are skew the other way. I think there's going to be a much more higher curiosity of how everything works under the covers.
Yeah, I see a future where, just like today, anyone goes and orders an Uber, that tomorrow they just build their own system for solving whatever problem that they have. And I do see how, I'm a huge believer in technology for good. And I do see how we can solve things like medical access through personalization and that last mile delivery, or whether it's medicine, whether it is medical advice, whether it's education, and a whole range of other services that are just not possible today. It's,
the magic quadrant, which I always make fun of, but I still like the quadrants. It's ability to execute, completeness of vision, are two main axes that I like. Now you have a world where you can actually have a vision, have an idea, and execute it quickly. So to me, I think it's a great time to actually affect the change that everyone's been kind of working on. So that brings me to the questions for you guys. What are you guys working on now? Share what's on your plate. What are you focused on? What's going on for you? What's some of the cool things you're working on?
Yeah, I've been heavily focused on Agentic AI as a space. I work with some amazing, cool female investors like Jalak and Rashida Hodge. I worked for Rashida back in the days at IBM Watson. And fast forward today, she just invested in something new that I'm doing. So that's been great. She's now at Microsoft.
Nice.
And it's been great to see what AI could do in the world with agents. And I'm also like very, very focused on enabling other women with WomenOfGenAI, enabling female founders. That's been my mantra. A lot of the companies I've backed have been female founders. And to see incredible people like even, I know Nancy Wang, who was recently on your show, like now the CTO at 1Password is just
she's
amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, she's great. What's your advice to young, upwardly rising women and women who are reskilling? Because remember, this era is not for just the young. It's a lot of people who grew up in these systems thinking worlds now can be retrained. There's a lot of people coming off the sidelines. My friends like, hey, I'm retired. I'm coming back in the game. I don't need to know how to code. I don't need the syntax. I can just code because they know how to code back in the day. There's a lot of like people coming in, young and old. It's an interesting time. It's almost like the collision between two cultures. What's your advice to people trying to get back in the game and get funding?
That's a great question. There's a lot of, when you think of like kind of the last generation and now you think of the newer generation, I think both of them bring in different value and perspectives. The last generation brings in that great experience, that OG experience and that track record. And the newer generation brings in the creative outside thinking and the innovative ideas. So I feel like the fusion of both of those is significant.
Kirthiga, what are you working on? What's exciting you? Also get the startup, get things in the Gen AI side.
No, it's very
AEO.
exciting. Yeah. So one, we see the whole Geo AEO as a entry point and to serve brands in helping them be visible, trusted, chosen. I was at FinTech meetup yesterday where someone said, "Oh, is this going to be about infrastructure or intelligence?" I'm like, all of that is converging very quickly.
Yeah.
It is infrastructure, it is intelligence, but one step further towards the Agentic AI conversation. It's about actually doing the execution, being extension of lean teams, working with partners across the ecosystem to work together to deliver results for brands and businesses. And our big focus, John, is making sure that it's not just about being visible, but the being trusted and chosen. And so, we are delivering results like working with Business Intelligence Group, where they drove 3x growth in visibility, 151% increase in traffic from ChatGPT and other sources, and 2x growth in revenue. What was mind-boggling was when the CEO said that 58% of that new revenue came from customers they had never seen before. Very focused on that whole end-to-end platform at a global scale.
And you're bringing the AI and the data together.
Yes.
It reminds me of the cloud world days, this agentic infrastructure layer and the AI native applications. It's almost a repeat of the cloud native movie. DevSecOps, kind of an infrastructure layer, cloud native applications on the cloud. Now you have this agentic layer sitting on top of cloud native, powering all these AI apps, but it's happening so much faster.
Totally.
Way fast.
Yeah, totally. I think it's such an amazing advance. I have like some really cool entrepreneurs, like back to your last question about the newer thinking. I don't know if you know Lucy Go, their new startups Passes, who's the former co-founder of Scale AI. So that energy is infectious to newer.
Yeah. It's a great time to be working on companies and changing the world. Thanks for coming on. Our mixture of experts, bringing it down. And the last day of Women History Month. Pioneers here. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Always.
I'm John Furrier, your host of theCUBE here at the NYC CUBE studios. This is the NYC Wire, the new CUBE program, CUBE Original. Thanks for watching.